Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Caregiver Coffee Shop podcast. I am so excited to have my next guest on another episode here with me today. Her name is Marjie Hadad, and she's an author, speaker, and obviously mother. And I really am excited about her coming on because she's going to be talking about how to use healthy PR parenting strategies. And we've done a lot of stuff on self-care, on caregiving, burnout, kind of those things that I talk about a lot, which is usually motherhood, self-care, or caregiving. But in terms of parenting and how we discipline, communicate, and educate our children, we haven't really done an episode kind of on that topic yet. So I'm very excited to have Marjie on because she's an expert in this stuff for one, two, so duh, right? And then two, that she's a mom, she's had her own unique motherhood journey, right? So having her come on, share her heart, give you some tips is something that I'm very excited for. And she's going to be preaching to the choir here too, because I'm a mom of a 4-year-old, so I'm in the early stages still of my parenting journey. So I want to just throw it out there that wherever you're at on the spectrum of your parenting journey, your motherhood journey, it's never too late to implement something new, to have a healthy parenting journey. And we're all learning, okay? Our children are all unique. We all have different brains, different personalities, and different caregiving situations that's adding extra stress to our motherhood and caregiving journey and parenting journey. So definitely listen to this episode with a grain of salt. That listen, wherever you're at, there's something here that you could probably take with you to implement back into your life to help you have a healthy and better balanced parenting and motherhood journey. So Marjie, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast today.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. So could you just take a moment here and share a little bit about who you are and your journey of motherhood and what got you into PR parenting strategies? Because I think that's a term that a lot of people probably aren't aware of or even know what that is.
Well, that makes a whole lot of sense. What on earth does PR have to do with parenting? Well, let's go back to the beginning. I have been in public relations for, drumroll please, 30 years. And I have 3 grown children now, nearly 26, 23, and 18. And I'd have to say that along the way, I didn't really know that I was PR parenting. It was a discovery I made just a couple of years ago when I looked back after a conversation with one of my daughters who had suggested that I write a book to help the next generation of moms to have an easier time at parenting, based on my experience, my expertise, my successes, my hiccups. And she said, Mom, you made mistakes, but overall, you got it right. You got to pay it forward. So I'm on this mission to start a movement, a PR parenting movement, and teaching moms, dads, aunts, uncles, teachers, whoever is working with kids, a new approach, a brand new way of thinking to help things be a little bit easier, smooth out that path, and ultimately help our kids to be their best selves. Now, along the way, you say, well, what does that mean? So let me send a message out to all those moms out there, because I'm assuming that your audience is mostly moms. Mm-hmm. Ladies, the big picture message here is that I use my professional skills to parent. I brought the work home, not the pressure, not the stories, not the nonsense, the day in, the day out. I didn't bring home the grind, but I did bring home my professional skill set. And I gave the best of me, and that's also the best of you, because whatever you do for a living or whatever your superpowers are at home, that's what we want to share with our kids, because when we share the best of ourselves, then that helps our kids to be their best as well. So that's kind of how the journey started and the realization. And on the big picture of it, what I'd like you to take away from it.
Oh, nice. I love that. I think that's so awesome, though, that your daughter was the one that says, hey, Mom, you should share this with others. You did a good job. How validating as a parent is that to hear that from your children, to say that, Mom, okay, I admit, did you drive me crazy? Did you make mistakes? We're human. We're not perfect, but you did a good job, and it's motherhood and parenting, guys, obviously isn't like we're trying to get the badge of honor to win the most amazing mom in the world, type of award out there, if there was one. But we obviously do want to give our children a safe and healthy upbringing, and teach them all the basics, life skills, right? So that they can thrive as independent individuals one day and positive members and contributors of society. And while this world is crazy and there's things that we can't control, I want to say that as moms, we can control what we do. We can control what we say. We can control how we take in resources, make them our own, and leverage those into skills that do help us parent in a way that does work for us. I know for me, it's interesting that you say that you brought the work home. I'm a former certified nursing assistant. So I did that work in long-term healthcare for 15 years. So obviously with that type of a workload, I did not bring home the work. I could not, because privacy for my patients and etc. But the thing that I definitely brought home, it's interesting that I brought into my career as a stay-at-home mom and now a mentor and a coach for helping mothers who are having to leave the workforce to balance caregiving for a spouse and dealing with small kiddos, that just the importance of taking care of yourself. That's one piece of the puzzle I'm bringing forward. And but I can do that physically really well. I know that's my skill set of like taking care of skin, making sure you practice good hygiene, taking care of your body with enough water, sleep, nutrition, those kind of no-brainer things that as a healthcare worker, I'm very well equipped to help practice. But in terms of, teaching life skills, though, that's something that's different to me, and disciplining and trying to help my daughter understand, okay, we don't behave that way, but how can I do so in a way that's not angry, that's not venting and just inputting my own frustration, anxiety, things I'm feeling that obviously I don't want her to absorb. But sometimes, when we're stressed and we're overwhelmed, how do we channel that? And we obviously, when we talk, like a conversation we're having here, adult to adult, we can talk in a certain way, but obviously the way we communicate and we teach and instruct and guide our children has to be channeled in a different way. And sometimes as moms, especially if you're a first-time mom, how do we do that? how do we do that?
So Melissa, there's a PR practice. Whenever we address a new situation or even an ongoing situation, we always have to keep in mind who our target market is. And we say, what would be the best way to approach the target market, okay, in a way that they would receive the information in the way that we intend it to be received in order to achieve the goal. Now, when you're at work and you're a caregiver, when you were at work as a nurse's assistant, no way would you get upset with anybody. You would always keep your calm. You would always be respectful, even if you were boiling inside, even if you were fried, even if you just wanted to throw out the towel. When you're at the job, you get your focus, you keep your calm, and you do your job. Otherwise, you won't have a job, right?
Pretty much. So, yep, you get fired.
Exactly. Exactly. So when you come home, it's the same thing with the kids. Consider your target audience. What will they respond to? At what time are they best to approach so that they will respond? If they do something that's not okay, just like you would say to a client or to a partner, look, this is one way to do it. Let me show you another. This is the way that I would prefer that you do it. So instead of attacking, instead of calling someone out, especially your kid, take the action, make it into a third person thing, not them, but a thing, and explain to them why this thing is not the way it's supposed to be done. And then instead of dwelling on the negative, because we already been there, seen it and done and don't want to do that again, propose another way to approach the same thing that would be to your liking, that would be positive, and show them how. As parents, we need to guide the kids. Everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect. Not me, not you, not the kids. And we learn more from our mistakes than from our successes. So if we keep in mind who our target market is, who our target audience is, adjust our messaging accordingly. Make sure that our words are chosen in such a way that the recipient will understand you. Make sure that you choose a tone and delivery that would be well accepted, and give positive examples of what you want your end goal to look like. As simple as that. And as far as blowing your cool, just remember, if you wouldn't do it at work, don't do it at home.
I love that. And I tell you, little phrases have been something that's really helped me lately. So like when you said, like, let the phrase that stuck out to me the most when you were sharing that was, let me show you a different way, or let me show you a way that mommy would like. Again, bringing it down to their your target audience, as you say, bringing it down into a way language wise that they understand.
It's not even, but
yeah,
Melissa,
yeah.
it's not a down. Okay. It's not an up or a down. It's the appropriate word choice, the appropriate tone for whomever you are speaking to. It's not an up or down thing. We're not talking down to our children. I've always spoken to my children as much as I possibly can. And again, I've made mistakes too over the years, and I've lost my cool too.
Mm-hmm.
I make mistakes. It happens, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I always have another opportunity. And that's the good news. We always have an opportunity, another one, to try and improve as we're continuing to evolutionize too. So don't beat yourself up if you blow your cool. It's okay. You'll have another chance to do it again. But I never dumbed down my language. That's why my children's vocabulary is as good as it is. And I spoke to them in English, and my husband spoke to them in Hebrew. So they're bilingual. They are literate in both languages, and they're wonderful at writing in both languages.
Mm-hmm.
And because everything was maintained at a certain level, they also adopted language as well. So we're not talking about dumbing things down. If anything, the opposite. Teach them those supercalifragilisticexpialidocious words. You'll be very happy.
I love that.
They're going to parrot you, and then they're going to walk into a classroom and they're going to use some sophisticated word that you shared with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the teacher's going to go, where on earth did you hear that?
Right. And that just instantly makes me think of, like, we don't want them parroting the bad things, obviously, we want them parroting the good things. And so that really is inspiring too, to think about that way of, like, use the big word, like you said, and get them those skills of advanced vocabulary for their education and growth and verbal skills. Absolutely. I love that. And I like how you did say not dumbing it down, talking to them that is their target audience in a way that is calm, is controlled, but doesn't talk down to them, but empowers them to, hey, there's a better way, and I'm going to help you do it. And you're going to probably make mistakes too. We're human, but
exactly.
I want to help you not make as many mistakes, not be perfect, but try to make.
I want to help you to be even. You're amazing. I want to help you be even more amazing. And we don't have to be perfect, because we can just practice and do our thing. And as long as we do our best, that's all anybody can ask of you.
Right. And I think that's important for, moms, are you listening? I think that's an important word to think about too, as moms in our journey, and even caregivers too. If you're a spousal caregiver too, guys, practice. You got to practice your skills. It's going to get better, but you can't get better unless you try. And so you have to be resilient and relentless, I would say too, with just trying and keeping you okay, you made a mistake. It doesn't make you a bad mom. It doesn't make you a bad caregiver. It doesn't make you a bad spouse. You can figure it out of how to communicate in a meaningful way that works long term. And yes,
and
you
for
might have to try. And for you,
yeah. And because everybody has their version. Yeah, everybody has their own version of this. That's one of the things is, in the book, The Power of PR Parenting, there's exercises. Now, the exercises are kind of universal, but the how you would answer and go about the exercises are unique to you, because everybody comes from a different background, different community, different way of thinking. So you need to decide what works for you. It's very, very important to know that there's not one way to do it. It's whatever is appropriate in your particular circumstances. And that's ultimately your choice. You're the mom, you make the decisions. The goal here is to try to help you have an easier time of it and to figure out, okay, here's my game plan.
Mm-hmm. And I like it that the PR parenting is just really just a tool to give you a place to start. So you can figure out what works for you and how you execute your plan, like you said. I love that. I love that.
Yes. Yeah, there's the PR parenting book. There's the PR parenting workbook. Now, the book is already available on pre-order on Amazon. The workbook is my gift to all the moms out there, and it's an expansion of each of the exercises in the book. So when you go through each of the chapters, at the end of the chapters, there's a QR code that takes you to the workbook, because I wanted to give you something in your hand. You can read about it, absorb it. If you choose, go get the workbook. It's free. And then work through it. And if you want, print it off. You can type it in or handwrite it, what have you, and then print it off. And you actually have an action plan in your hand. And all of this becomes available officially on April 4th, because that's the launch day.
Oh, awesome. I love that you just threw that in there. So did you guys hear? She has a book coming out, and it has a workbook too on April 4th. Go sign up. We'll have links to that in the description below. But I think that's important, is that when you are figuring things out, sometimes visually you need something. I know I'm a visual learner, and especially in my entrepreneurial journey, as well as just transitioning to being a full-time stay-at-home mother and spousal caregiver, journaling and prompt journaling specifically, and even just with my spiritual life, writing out prayers and things like that, has just really helped me unlock things when you're processing things. Because it's one thing to talk about things, and I'm not saying that conversation isn't powerful and helpful, but sometimes we just really need to have a visual, whether that's reading something again and again, or writing it out, or reading. And I definitely am more of a person, I think, where I do best with like some sort of conversation or video lesson or something like that, and then, or reading something and then doing some further writing, where I'm kind of processing what I'm taking in so I can kind of absorb it. And also, just speaking to myself, I personally am a person that has to have a lot of repetition. So with that in mind, I'm thinking, like, with these PR strategies, and like how you say, how you have to keep practicing, it takes repetition, both for you and figuring out your game plan, and obviously with our children. We got to give our children grace. They're small, or whatever age they're at. They're learning. When they're trying to incorporate a new skill that we're teaching them, it takes repetition and practice for them too. So it might take them a bit to get it too.
One of my favorite stories in the book, because we're talking about repetition, and is about the tooth fairy. And it's one of my favorite stories because you can start as early as first grade to teach your kids good writing skills, good presentation skills, good advocate for themselves skills. Because in first grade, not only do you lose your teeth, right? They start to fall out, but it's also when you start to learn sentence construction. And what's important to know is that in public relations, we're always writing. It's one of those things that we do, and lots of professions require good writing skills. But what we can all agree on, I think, is that there's no such thing as the perfect first draft.
No.
Absolutely not. So, oops, I just lost my light. Don't know why. Okay. So we'll go into the darkness and have a romantic moment together, moms. You got to roll with it. It's okay. All good. I'm hoping that you can still see me.
Oh, we can still see you fine. It's okay.
Okay, great. So if we don't ever have the perfect first draft, and we want to always be open to improving our writing and not see it as criticism when someone marks up our paper, then as early as the first grade, when your teeth are falling out and You're learning how to write. Here's an idea, moms out there. Ask your child to write a request letter to the tooth fairy. And then sit with them, help them with the content. It doesn't have to be sophisticated. Dear tooth fairy, my tooth fell out today. I know that you'll be visiting lots of children tonight who also lost their teeth. But if you could, I'd be very happy to have $1 or whatever the going rate is for a tooth these days. It's been a while. And if not money, then say, if you don't have any dollars left, I'd be very happy to have a chocolate bar, because mom says that washes off my teeth really well. Thank you. Love, Susie. Okay, whatever. And then after they're finished their first draft, take a pretty color and show them another way to spell the things that weren't spelled accurately, or another way to word something that might need a little bit of help in sentence construction. Always start with, what a fabulous draft. I love that. Would you mind if I show you another way to do a few of these things to maybe improve it and make it even more fabulous? And then when they hear that they're fabulous and you just want to make it more fabulous, then they're generally open, and you take a pretty color, a pink or a blue or a green, never red, fire engine red. Nobody wants a red marked up paper. And then at the end of your edit and this interaction, you have pretty colors on the paper, and then invite them to rewrite it, round 2, right? And it's another opportunity for them to practice. And that's what they put the tooth in. They put the tooth and the letter into an envelope, and that's what you throw under the pillow. And then they get their reward. So you've got an exercise in writing, in handwriting, in grammar, in advocating for themselves. And they get a prize out of it. But they didn't just get the prize, they actually had to work for it.
And it's a life skill exercise where they're getting multiple skills, like you said, writing, grammar, just practice of like, okay, I tried something first, but I want to make it better, so I did a second draft. I love that about just, and you could do that with so many things, in terms of not just the tooth fairy, but there's other things too that they could do.
You can do this throughout the course of your life, okay, and the course of your interaction with your child, whether it's a graduation speech, whether it's a bar mitzvah or confirmation speech, or a Ramadan speech, or something from another country or another religion. Anytime you have a writing assignment, you can turn it into practice in terms of writing skills, grammar, sentence construction, analysis. And then ultimately, if you have to present it, then you even get presentation and performance skills in there, which you can help your child with. And it's all the same approach. Here's one way to do it. Here's another. It's always about improvement. It's never about making mistakes or criticizing. This is our starting point, which is a great starting point. But going back to the original concept, there's no such thing as the perfect first draft. There's no such thing as the perfect first delivery of a presentation. That's why people are presentation trained, so that they can practice.
Right. I love that. Just the again and again, the repetition, the practice with anytime there's a chance to write, teaching a writing and a life skill. And just that, even just the confidence of, you know what, you're doing a good job, but I want to help you do it better. And it's okay to want to do better. It's okay to practice. I think some people are afraid to practice because there's that pressure in society of like, oh, you got to do it right the first time. And there's no such thing. Like you said, there's no perfect first draft. And any copywriter I've worked with in my business will tell you the exact same thing. It's like, just write. Like one of the first copywriters I worked with was Kate Doster. She's a well-known email guru. And I love how she says, just write that first draft. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just write it, get it out of your head. Don't worry about editing, just get it out so the ideas are there. Then you can go back and make it better.
I used to say to my kids when they would write their first draft. And then I would say, okay, do I get to help now? And they go, okay. And I'd say, look, mommy works with a lot of CEOs. Even the CEOs don't get it right the first time. They get their ideas down. That's all I need from them. And then the rest of it, then I go in and work my magic, because that's what I do. I'm a public relations expert. And that's a professional skill. So if I can do this for the CEOs, thank you for letting me help you too. And then they understand that no matter how old you get, it's going to be the same process over and over again. And guess what? That's okay, because we always want to improve. Hey, everything that I write, I always get a second pair of eyes on it, because I know that once you're too close to the forest to see the trees, you got to get a second pair of eyes on it, period.
Yeah. And I'm actually in that right now. One of my business coaches having us do an exercise where we actually are practicing that. We're asking people in our community to look at some of our content and just come up, with a fresh set of eyes and things that we might missed. And I'm loving it. I have so many speaking of which, this morning I was working on it. I have so many ideas I'm going through and working on improvements on my landing page right now too, because I want to do it better, because it's been, I think, a year or two since I first wrote that landing page, and I've added to it. But again, it's time for some fresh eyes, because that's the thing. When you're writing or any life skill, sometimes when you're doing something, you get so focused in and tunnel visioned, and you're so close to it, you don't see that there could be another way to approach it. And sometimes you need someone to say, "Hey, I know this looks great, but what about this? Or have you even thought about this idea?" Especially when it comes to your writing or skill, or like, hey, or even just like thinking about as a mom, okay, using the PR strategy and helping our kids, and maybe we do get into a good flow with them, but then maybe they get stuck and they're like, and we can just go back to the book again, to the skills again of like, hey, okay, look, we figured it out before, we can figure it out again. Okay, maybe that flow for a while did work for you, and you're feeling stuck. That's okay. Let me help you figure out another way forward, to figure out what does work for you, because those hiccups come too, especially because I'm thinking about too, like just with the natural evolution or journey, if you will, of our children as they age. They're going to have different problems. They're going to have their writing skills even will level up, and
everything will level up.
Yeah.
What's kind of nice about the book is that there are 10 chapters, and I didn't randomly write them. I spoke with multiple mothers with different age kids, and I said, what do you want to know? Let's answer some real current event kind of questions so we can start helping from the start of it. And so the book answers these questions. So anytime and we go through all sorts of topics. I mean, everything from separation anxiety with your child when you drop them off from nursery school. What's a PR technique to deal with that? How do you get your child to get rid of their pacifier without drama? To all the way up to, okay, my kid is not behaving in high school. What do I do about it? Or they're going out to a party. How do I secure their safety as best as possible? All these kind of things, everything in between. And you can reference the book. There's a million different stories, personal, professional. And how do I know that it worked, Miss Melissa? Because I have 3 kids that I watched, my own 3 children. So this is ultimately a case study. And what was kind of cool is that as I watch them in action, I see them implementing public relation practices at each of their junctures and in their decision making. It is amazing. And I think to myself often, wow, they're really using the PR skills to pursue their own interests. I mean, I have a daughter who's at medical school, a son who's a computer scientist statistician. The little one is in high school. She's still figuring out what she wants to do. But at each juncture, like I said, they use public relations strategies to work things out, and I couldn't be prouder. So here's an example of why it works and how it works and how you can mirror the successes and skip all my mess ups.
Well, and I like it, and I like how you use the word mirror. Okay, because here's the thing: when it comes down to, it's like you have a unique brain, I have a unique brain, you have a unique personality, I have a unique personality. Our children, even though they're at different ages, for one, and but also two, different personalities and challenges and life and all that too.
Right.
So I love how you say mirror, because that's what anything that that we do, especially on the podcast, guys. Whenever I share stuff like with this you I can't talk, not enough caffeine, guys. Whenever I share this stuff with you, there I go. It's really to just inspire and encourage you and give you a tool that maybe resonates with you better than maybe something else that you may have tried, because there's no one size fits all approach to motherhood and caregiving.
No,
And
no,
if you're
there is no.
really and if you're in the thick of struggling with communication with your children, I definitely resonated with the one where you said separation anxiety. We went through a lot of that after COVID because of her being home with me all the time. And I am a stay-at-home mom now. So now with her transitioning, she's doing better with transitioning into, we have her in a preschool program at church twice a week. She does speech therapy as well. And both are very structured, like school settings. So that I think is setting her up excellent for when she does transition to actual preschool. But again, there's a little bit of a separation anxiety, but again, it's, she does good with routine. And I definitely am inspired now after listening to this of like, how can I work on paying attention to my words of how I talk to her, not talking down to her, but talking to her and assuring her that she's safe, and leveraging PR strategies to help her with the transition of how I can make it more on her level, but in a way
Mhm.
that also gives her some life skills. So
Absolutely.
there's
So
no, yeah.
there's no, yeah, it's not cookie cutter. And so, like we said, there's the book and there's the workbook, and you can read and have that as a reference. And you have the workbook to work it out by yourself. And if you don't want to work it out by yourself, then there's a PR parenting program where you can get some coaching with this. And that starts actually on May 24th, but you can register now. And can I tell you something fun, Melissa?
Sure, spill it.
Okay, so moms, if you sign up for the program before March 12th, and you can go to PRFOR period life, PR4 period life, you can go to the program page. If you sign up now before March 12th, on March 12th, in honor of National Working Moms Day, I wanted to give a present and support my fellow moms. So I'm giving away in a drawing, and the winner of the drawing gets 100% scholarship to the program.
Ooh, moms, are you listening to this? Who's up for a scholarship?
Full scholarship. So you don't have to do it on your own. You get coaching, group coaching, and laser coaching. And we meet once a week for 2 hours on Wednesdays, starting on May 24th. It's Wednesdays. And it's going to be lots of fun. And there are lots and lots of perks. And if that's something that you're interested, then do go to the website, do apply. It's going to be a small enrollment, around 10 people, because we want to keep it intimate. But there you have it.
I love it. I love it. So again, links to that will be in the description box below, wherever you're watching this on YouTube, my website, Spotify, Anchor, Apple, everywhere. It'll be in the description below. So definitely check out those links. So we've talked a lot about PR strategies, and you've given some tips, but just starting out, let's backtrack it a little bit. So if you could just give just three tips to help our moms out there, to give them a place to start, besides obviously the book and the workbook you said is a great resource, but even just day to day, what are three simple tips that we could give our moms to help them get started with PRs?
Okay, first of all, allow me to introduce you to the power nap. You got to do some self-care there. When you are at your most exhausted and you don't even know which end is up, find some time to take 10 minutes and close your eyes. If you can get 20 minutes out of it, good for you. But do something that's self-care oriented. The dishes will stay, the laundry will stay. If the baby's sleeping, you're sleeping for those 10 minutes. If the kids are older and they're watching television or playing with friends, just close your eyes. We all know as mothers that we never fully go out 100%, but that cat nap, that power nap will make all the difference in terms of your energy. Number two, just try to keep your sense of humor. It's something that we do in public relations all the time, because you're always getting yelled at by somebody. Somebody's always has something to say about something. And if you keep your sense of humor, and here comes the third part, and keep your focus, then no matter what happens to you during the course of your day, you'll be able to get through it. So, little self-care, keep your sense of humor, maintain your focus, and at the end of the day, you will still be vertical, and you'll be able to sleep a little bit better too.
Yeah, I like that. And I love that you started out with self-care, because the big thing I teach with my prompt method is prioritizing whole body self-care, mind, soul, body. Okay, let's face it, we can't run on an empty tank. As cliche as it sounds, guys, I know physical self-care is really hard on, enough sleep, enough nutrition, enough movement. I do push that too, being a former healthcare worker and caring for a sick spouse now myself. But it's also important that we do nurture our mind. We take care of our mind, our mental health, our emotional health. So support groups, journaling, hobbies, something that lights us up, spiritual self-care, staying connected with our faith, getting plugged back into our faith now that COVID's it's still there, guys, but if things are opening up where you're at, definitely taking advantage of being able to be in person and around people again, because we need that. And connecting in other ways too, whether it's support groups within your community of faith, or weekly activities, whatever you can do, or even just getting back in the habit. I know for me, since July of last year, I've been really on a kick of prioritizing my 30 minutes to 60 minutes every morning before I even start work or anything else, of doing my time with the Lord. And that has been life-changing. So there's so much emphasis, I think, that needs to come with self-care. And then once you have self-care, then you can have the wherewithal to stop and pause and take breaks throughout the day, whether it's that 15-minute cat nap, or maybe 15 minutes of movement, or 15 minutes just to stop and rehydrate your tumbler, or 15 minutes to do a hobby or something, or and then
let me jump in here for just a second.
Focus. Yeah,
I'll tell you something. Sometimes you'll say, you know what, Melissa, I don't have 15 minutes. What are you talking about? The day's just too crazy. So here's what I propose. When you take your shower that day, instead of taking however many minutes, add on a couple more so you can enjoy that hot, steamy water. Or if you've excused yourself for a Mother Nature break, take an extra couple minutes to breathe. Everyone will wait for you. No one's going to bother you. There are all sorts of little ways to add a minute or two or three or four to whatever a natural process is, and so that you can enjoy and kind of exhale. That's the key: breathing and exhaling. For me, it's music. If I need a break, I usually go to my rock and roll, because I love rock and roll. Anyway, no, I like music. If that's your thing, then go for it too.
right. And I like that you said that too. I mean, I obviously teach 15 minutes, but I know with my Christian life coaches, they've said, okay, I want to, like, a wellness thing for me that I am working on is 15 minutes of movement a day. But they said, like you said, sometimes we don't have 15 minutes straight that we can do it. Okay, stop, get up and down and do some squats, 5 minutes, here, and 5 minutes there. So break it up. So the 15 minutes does not have to be all at once. It could be 5-minute chunks here and there, or like Marjie said, breaking it up by adding a little bit here and there. So maybe 2 extra minutes in the shower, 2 extra minutes in your devotional time, or longer, if you feel inclined, like you're just really just enjoying it and you need it and you have the time for it, do it. Maybe it's a little extra time napping, or snuggling, or dancing to music, or doing your hobby, whatever you can do throughout your day to give yourself a little extra. Do it. Do it. Maybe it is, if you get outside,
do it.
Just do it. Or even with your kids, like being outside, letting them, if it gives you a break later, those 5 extra minutes at the park, They want 5 more minutes at the park, let them run off energy for 5 more minutes. So that gives you maybe some breathing space a little bit later. And also for you to just be outside and be in nature and be able to breathe and exhale and just have a moment of just being in a different environment. Because sometimes that's all we need too. We just need to be in a different environment. We need to be outside of our houses. So anyway, Marjie, this has been so, so good. I am so excited for everything we've shared because I know it's going to help another mom out there. And I'm so excited about your book and your workbook dropping and the coaching program. That sounds amazing. I cannot wait for people to dive into that. So you mentioned your website, but where are some other places that we can get more Marjie Hadad?
You can find me on Instagram at Marjie Hadad, Marj, like Japan, IEHADAD. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. Pretty much those are the spots. And of course, you can find me on PRFOR.life. That is the book portal. And that keeps you, if you join the community, I'd like to invite everybody to join the PR parenting community and be a part of the movement. And that will keep you up to date with everything to do with the book and the program and the movement. And if you need anything or want to reach out, I invite you to. Hey, the whole point of this exercise is to help out. So if I can be of service to you, it would be my absolute honor and pleasure. Let's do it together, ladies.
Awesome. Marjie is amazing, guys. So y'all got to check out her stuff. It's amazing. Everything will be linked below. And if you are in a season where you are just struggling yourself with your own motherhood and caregiving journey, and you just need a safe place to vent, and you're just at your wit's end about, okay, I left my career and now I'm home full time. I do not have a former background in healthcare. What the heck do I do? Let's chat. I will include a link below to book a free 30-minute one-on-one free support call, caregiver support call with me. And whether it's motherhood related, whether it's caregiving related, whether it's self-care, let's create a realistic motherhood, self-care, and caregiving routine for you that will help you stay calm, cool, and not burnt out in your motherhood and caregiving journey. So guys, thank you so much for listening in on this episode of the Caregiver Coffee Chat podcast. Be sure to follow all the links below to follow Marjie and all her amazing work and get her book and her workbook and get into her program. And be sure, I can't talk, guys, sorry. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, my website, wherever you're listening, so you'll be updated on future episodes and events with the Caregiver Coffee Chat podcast. So Marjie, thank you again for your time. I enjoyed having you on the podcast. I wish you well. And guys, remember that you're doing the best you can. You're not alone. You know your family better than anybody else. And you're allowed to give yourself grace on those hard mom and caregiver days. I'll see you in the next episode, everybody. Bye-bye.